Oh, guys. Oh, how could I be so rude to not start off my stream by saluting the United States of America, our absolutely best allies in the world across the Atlantic, who would never betray us and we would always listen to them. How could I not? I should have started the stream with a strong salute to the United States because, of course, it's its birthday. It's its 250th birthday. And this is definitely not a moment for Trump to be like super egocentric about it and make it all about his like electability and like, it's definitely not about that. And it's definitely about making sure that, America, where America is at, where America came from, is celebrated, the growth, the values, um, all of that is absolutely where we are, or absolutely exactly what has happened. So yeah, happy birthday to the United States. But yeah, there's also a lot, you know, stepping into the real world. The United States, 250th birthday has gone off with, I don't know, I wouldn't say a blast. It's more like it fizzled out because there was just so much stuff going wrong here and there, the weather, and then, things falling down. It's kind of a shit show, really, but hey, I think I saved some stuff up about it, so we're going to have a look at it. On top of that, Trump is also on his anti-communist arc, so, You know what they say, empires crumble after the 250th year, so I think we're right on the clock. We're right on time. We're right on time for it's like, so maybe some people when they become really old and they don't want to have a funeral when they're dead, they have like, or like a divorce party. That's kind of the vibes of this. It's like, yeah, we're not really celebrating longevity here. We're celebrating the fact that things are coming to an end. That's what it feels like. The AI picture Trump posted of the 250th party was so eerie. It had Bioshock Infinite vibes. Wait, I didn't see this. Do you have a link by any chance? I want to see this. Hey, what's up, Razor? What's up, chatter? Welcome. Welcome back to the broadcast. 250 years they have committed atrocities to rival the entire 1,000-year history of Europe. I mean, it's a close call. I will say it's pretty close. Like, I would say Europe has done plenty of atrocities and, exploitation around the planet. But the United States has really put in a lot of effort to catch up. So what can I say? It's a close call. But yeah, so we'll get to all of that. We'll get to Trump's anti-communist speech, yada, yada, yada. The usual stuff coming out of the Trump administration. And also some EU news because, well, for one, there was like a Jean-Luc Melechon interview that I was like, oh, that looks interesting. We can react to that. Of course, because, Jean-Luc Melechon is one of the like leftist interesting candidates to keep an eye on for the French presidential elections that are coming up. So yeah, I just want to, it's useless to separate them, really. Same people behind the atrocities, but yeah, it's really yeah, it really is just like copying each other's homework and truly not really changing anything about it. So yeah, we're gonna have a little peek at some cool stuff from Jean-Luc, Mr. Mélenchon. Because yeah, like I said, at the same time, because of course, like I said, this is because there's a French election going on soon, presidential election, and at the same time, of course, there is a lot of threats from the far right in France. For example, with Marine Le Pen, who is still dealing with her like conviction situation and if she is or she's not eligible to run. And so they still have their backup plan with what's his face? Let me check my notes here. Yeah, with Bardella. So they kind of have their backup plan with him, and yeah, I think we're gonna know more about this on the 7th of July. So that's like on Tuesday, based on what the appeal is gonna say. I I mean, the thing is, it's like, it would just be good if Marine Le Pen can't run because, But the thing is, like, we still have, again, they still have their backup plan. So what it's really going to come down to, it's, can someone like Jean-Luc Mélenchon really, um, get out there, organize, convince people that there is something better out there to vote on, and then just the national rally. That's really what it's gonna come down to. Oh shit, you found it nice. There's the only thing I could find that shows a pic. Oh, that's gonna be good. Or well, let's just have a little gander, shall we? Oh, wait, I did see this. Oh my god. Do you think people appreciate what I fed? Do you think I feel like with the my throat is a little hurting still, but I feel like I can kind of reach the Trump register. Do you think people appreciate what a fantastic job we did in building and operating the Great American State Fair at the National Mall, packed with happy people and everybody loving it? Ask yourself this simple question. Do you think that's wait. Do you think that Obama Obama, I can't tell if that's like a new nickname that Trump came up with, like Obama, or if it's a typo, but it has to be a new nickname, Obama, or Sleepy Joe Biden could have done it. The answer is no. Oh my god. Yeah, like they have an historically low amount of people visiting, but I have to say this like fucking AI picture. Oh shit. I have to say this like AI picture, it's like, oh god, it's so quintessential Trump. Like it's like clearly uh doing the most with like the least amount of interest in safety precautions. Like, what do you mean we have a Ferris wheel and it is like till the brim filled with people around it, and there's like people hanging from the carts themselves, and there's just like fucking helicopters and people on top of the helicopters about to get their heads chopped off, and just people paraglide. Oh my god. Yeah, that's yeah. All the balloons really. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You said about BioShock. Yeah. I mean, oh my goodness. Oh my god. Yeah, it really it's a special kind of thing. I'm glad that I don't know what amount of water was wasted for this, but I'm glad. This is it's worth it. Oh my goodness. But that's yeah, that's a perfect Trump picture. This just kind of more so looks like they're storming the Capitol, but yet again. It's like overflowing with people everywhere you look, which I'm sure is what he typed. I feel like shouldn't AI pictures also be better quality than this? Like it looks so weird. Like why are all these people sitting in the tree? Like I don't know, man. I thought AI was better quality at this point, but what do I know? But yeah, going back, we're gonna talk about Jean-Luc and the French kind of election situation. We know coming up with to the presidential elections early next year, and then of course, similarly, we're gonna look at Germany because the German elections are also not far off. They will be a little bit earlier than the French. So I think the German elections are in January, and then the French elections are in April of 2027. So yeah, we're just gonna keep an eye on that. And for Germany, for the AfD, what I really want to highlight is that, well, oh, sorry guys, I had a burp there. But so for the Germany situation, what I really want to highlight is that I feel like with Germany, it's also like the way they frame everything there. It's like, well, the AfD, we can't let them breach containment. Like they're in East Germany right now, and they're trying to use their momentum, yada yada. But it's just like I feel like it's the case everywhere. Like the economic situation of people everywhere has deteriorated so much that we need like comprehensive, leftist, progressive alternatives. And so, there is a continued AfD normalization because, that's just what it is. But there's also a lot of pushback. So there's a lot of protesters. I don't think today I'm going to focus on like Die Linke or other like leftist German parties, but that's just because there was like a AfD re-election of their leader situation going on, and that caused a lot of like protesters to show up and to push back against this normalization. So I just more so want to focus on that. But yeah, rest assured, we're gonna get to what we can, and we'll go from there. They had their band of masked fascist thugs present too. Probably the only people in attendance. Yeah. I saw that as well, which is crazy. It's and it's just, it really is like that. And it's just like these people, clearly, they didn't give a fuck about masking during COVID, but they sure as hell will mask up, be locked and loaded during moments like this. And yeah, the fact that Trump also, and I don't know, the whole MAGA base, it's so comfy adjacent with all of that. It's insane. Alas, let's dive into it. Let's see what we can get to first. Let's just maybe knock out the US. My pronouns are USA. Let's knock that out first, but wait, did I not have like a yeah, it's fine. Okay. Okie doke. Let's just start here.
A significantly delayed speech by Donald Trump.
Yeah, we'll just dive into the communist speech, because that was also particularly interesting. It happens very often that communists are also one of the scapegoated groups of people that, when everything is crumbling, will just point to immigrants, communists, women, to blame for all that is happening, all the bad stuff that's happening. So let's just dive into that. By Friends 24 English, Trump invokes communism in an attempt to shift focus from Iran war in 250th anniversary speech.
A significantly delayed speech by Donald Trump. We've had a lot of storms passing through DC on July 4th evening. That meant that Donald Trump's speech was pushed back starting around 11 p.m. local time, significantly later than was planned, and therefore a shortened speech by the president. But nevertheless, just shy of 40 minutes he was on the stage, and he mostly stuck to his teleprompted remarks, but did deviate a few times, mostly to dabble in a list of grievances and the many of the things that we've heard him say in the past. He, however, also mentioned his new favorite buzzword, communism. That is clearly been the word from the White House, that is something they need to focus on as they now look towards the midterm elections and try to shift focus away from the war in Iran, which has tanked Republican approval ratings in the course of the last couple of months. Donald Trump now focusing on what he sees as communism in America. That is already taking root with his grassroots supporters. One lady today was, my colleague overheard one lady saying that she wasn't afraid of the storms that were rolling through DC, but she was afraid of communism, and that's why she didn't want to...
It's so typical. I don't know, man. American hogs are on another level. There's like a tangible danger that is actually physically happening in front of them, around them. It's like that woman that I don't have the clip right now, but there was this woman that visited like the whole like place there when it was like scorching hot, and she was just like getting a heat stroke. She had to like go to an emergency tent or whatever. But it's just like these people will go through all of that blindly, not believing in climate change, and then blame communists. It's crazy. Yeah. Trump's speech was great. Might push some of the ideologically uncommitted lips to wake the fuck up, since he sees such a threat in us. If they truly want to fight Trump, they might finally pick up a damn book. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, they're really going through all of the degrees of like, all right, find a new scapegoating group, ignore all the threats of climate change, anything else, keep ignoring all of the pushback against the illegal wars. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it might make people more susceptible to being convinced to vote against Trump, and also specifically vote for like a democratic socialist candidate as a starter.
to leave the National Mall. Donald Trump, in those remarks, said, "We remain the finest people on the planet after 250 years. Unlike so many others in the world, in this country, we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equal justice under the law." But then he quickly went off those remarks, saying, "Although I wasn't treated that well, but we won't go into that." So you get some kind of idea there from those.
Classic Trump. We have equal rights under the law, but I, of course, wasn't treated like that. And of course, Obama, he went after me just like Sleepy Joe. Oh yeah. I can. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for Trump to to stick to it, to stick to the prompted, like the fucking teleprompter. But at the same time, that's why he got so popular as well, because he did go off on some crazy tangents. Although I feel like nowadays it's not the same. It's not the same Trump as like 2015 Trump going off on his tangents. Those had a little bit more pizzazz to them. Now it's just the same old shit.
Those kind of remarks, the kind of things that Donald Trump would ad-lib during the course of this speech. It was meant to
Calling
be
it ad-lib is very funny.
Speech that would unite America on his 250th birthday, but of course those kind of off-prepared remarks have kind of put a bit of a dampener on that aspect of the speech from Donald Trump here this evening.
Right. And then I wanted to watch this like Fox News reporting on the like similar event, or on the similar story about, confront the threat. Trump urged to take action against communism. So, similarly, let's just see what Fox News had to say about all the communist or like action against communist shenanigans. We gotta get some water. Is that the audio level?
4 years old. We all almost fell off of our.
That is the audio level. Okay, that's low as hell. How about that?
Right behind those ladies who were singing. 104 years old. We all almost fell off of our chairs last night when we were reporting, and they said he was 104 years old because he looked and sounded amazing. At the end of their singing, he said, I've always thought I was a lucky guy. I'm a lucky guy tonight. And looking at those beautiful ladies, it was a fun moment.
He was. That was the best of the spirit of Fox News' Freedom Bunker.
That's right. The spirit remained high in the Freedom Bunker during a brief weather evacuation. Despite the rain, thousands returned back to the National Mall last night.
Showing the American resilience, a key theme of President Trump's speech honoring America's greatest heroes.
From the beginning, we were a nation that lived by the motto, victory or death, and live free or die. 1 out of every 100 Americans gave their lives in the fight for independence.
Bro, honestly, it's kind of child abuse to take your kid to an event like this. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, man. It is crazy. Like, you are a parent, you see what's happening, you see that this administration is like bombing families, and you're like, you know what? This guy, I'm going to take my children and I'm going to model the behavior that what this guy is doing, what he has been accused of, everything, that it's not only worth, like being a fan of, but also just like wildly celebrating. Oh my God. Yeah, I hope, usually the kids are all right. They can see through the bullshit a little bit, but plenty of people also get indoctrinated that way. If your family is Trump voters, MAGA, then you're more than likely also to at least to some extent pick up on that.
A surprise attack on 100 enemy combatants. They said he was finished, and this evening he stands to salute the only flag of its kind, the one that was draped over the casket of President Abraham Lincoln. Captain Schubring is here tonight, and he is saluting the flag that went down with the Arizona at Pearl Harbor, but was raised back up.
Fox News contributor.
Man, something about strolling out the old people to make them salute the flag. It's kind of, I feel like you'd be hard. I mean, there's not a lot of people left that fought and won against like actual baddies, bad guys. But like finding someone and like that is willing to do that, like there's plenty of veterans that also know that that shit was fucked up, or like that other things that America has done is fucked up. So kind of interested that they found a couple that were willing to be rolled on stage and salute the flag.
Contributor Hugh Hewitt joins us now. So great to see you this morning, Hugh. So the president had a spectacular speech at Mount Rushmore on Friday night, and then that speech last night. Give us a...
Anecdotally, I've met more communists that grew up with conservative families than lib families. I guess it's easier to maintain the illusion of the latter. Yeah, it's a bit, yeah. I mean, I guess it's also just like, it's kind of similar in some senses, like people that grow up really like religious. Like I don't know, sometimes you really have to deconstruct a lot, and that really messes with your own self-identity. It messes with your like social relations, like with your community. But yeah, maybe if you're like lib, like maybe people will have a couple more like progressive values here and there. They just feel better than leftists, and they feel better than people on the right. I would say for my family, in a way, it's a little lib, although in some areas leaning more conservative. But I feel like that's just like it. I feel like in some ways, I feel like it kind of depends, because every young person has a little bit of a rebellious phase. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting thought. I don't know how people change if they do, but yeah, anecdotally, I can definitely see that being like the case.
Grade on how you think the president did ringing in America 250.
And some people might also just go, completely the other direction. They just become the biggest, like they become the biggest supporters and flag bearers of the next generation of that shit.
Oh, good morning, friends. He got a double A because, as you noted, on Friday night, he's at Mount Rushmore, gave a terrific speech with Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and TR behind him, flies back to D.C., gets a rain delay and a thunderstorm, gives another terrific speech. And I just want to salute whoever helped him and whatever came out of that speech. I'll remember him recognizing Sergeant William Graves from the battle at Morris Island back in 1863, I believe. And then we go up to Colonel Paris Davis in Vietnam, Medal of Honor recipient as well, saluting the flag on Lincoln's casket. Then we got the Pearl Harbor veteran, we've got the Normandy veteran, we got the Iwo Jima veteran. That's an extraordinary bit of craftsmanship. So the drama of Friday night and Saturday night, I just want to remark, you guys work long hours, sometimes.
Jesus, I mean, like I said, all the people that are like probably paying money to visit this event, freaks, absolute freaks. And if you bring your child, personally, it's not a political opinion, like this is not a professional opinion. Personally, I consider that child abuse. That's weird as hell. All right, Trump always does that. He likes to make people believe that he is the best and most honest person, and because those who listen to him don't read or even care to know what he's saying is true or not, they just want to support that. Yeah, I mean, it's a really classic thing. Like, it used to be the case that if you're gonna, run a empire, or you're gonna run a situation where, what's it called, where things are like, kind of evil in a way, or you're doing things that are really against, what most of society thinks is okay. You also need some smart people in the room that will tell you, no, you shouldn't do this, no, you shouldn't do that. But Trump is surrounded by yes men, stupid people, like that's all that Trump is surrounded by. So it's kind of a miracle that they're making it this far, because yeah, you need at least a couple people in the room to know what the actual situation is. But yeah. I guess seeing the utter unmasked contempt of the right is more radicalizing than the pinkwash contempt of the libs. Well, the conservative right, they're both right ops. Yeah, I don't know. Libs are like, it's interesting because it does, yeah, they do kind of like, it's interesting because it's like, yeah, you think you can trust them, rely on them, but then there will be this like, situation that really reveals what they're actually about, and that they're also incredibly self-interested. Like sometimes even people that are on the right, like really conservative, they don't have that. They're like much more focused on the group, but they're focused on just what they consider their personal in-group. And so they're pretty like community driven, but in like the wrong in the wrong way. Like they're working with some nasty, ideology to back it up. But yeah, that's tough. I'm not saying I'm better or worse than that, but to an extent, you do just have personal responsibility to know, to seek out the truth and get a little educated and keep an eye on your community. And if things are like, if you see that all your society celebrates is death and destruction, then you have the responsibility to wake the fuck up a little. Trump has been doing that pretty much his entire life, even before his presidency. In interviews, he has a narcissistic personality. Yeah, I mean, I remember back when it was like, when I guess a little bit before the 2016 election, like his first presidency. I remember there was like, that's when I first, kind of understood the Trump mania and everything, like all of the documentaries, all of this, that, because that was kind of peak Trump. Like he had the most energy. He was like, I mean, especially if you compare it to the interviews now, it's very different. Like, actually, let me see if I can, there used to be a good compilation. I don't remember how I had seen it. Wait, let me see. Let me see if there is like a good little comp. Because he just used to be very energetic. Is this maybe good?
Saudi Arabia.
Maybe, let's see. Let's just go for the comparison. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. Even just looking at the way like he visually appears, like he was always like, oh, he has the hair and the tan, but this is like, it's a caricature, dude. What the hell?
Giving $25 million.
Oh, sorry, guys. That's loud as hell. I forgot the Fox video we were watching doesn't know they have fired all their fucking sound mixers.
All of these countries. These are people that kill women and treat women horribly, and yet you take their money.
Not a gift to me. It's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better.
Why don't you give back the money that you've taken from certain countries that treat certain groups of people so horribly?
Yeah, that's the thing. He was much more on the money. He knew like, okay, the audience that is speaking, like I need to, like that's also back when Trump was like, he was like kind of pro like LGBTQ in the sense of like, yeah, Caitlyn Jenner can take a piss at whatever bathroom she wants in Trump Tower. Like that was that era. Like it was really, it's kind of interesting to compare it. Like we are so far beyond it. Therefore I believe the party system needs to be reformed. We need to have a system that doesn't care what person is good or bad for presidency. They just have to follow party system and party win. Yeah, we just need a system that genuinely represents the best interest of, the working class, of the actual population, and not just the wealthiest motherfuckers, the wealthy pedophiles of America. He looks kind of like when morticians dress up a corpse for a funeral. Yeah, it's really great. Like he was already old by 2016, but 2025, 2026, it's on an whole other level. And it's like in 2016, he can speak to a crowd. He can, rile people. And in 2025, he is just always going on tangents. It's always like weird, like Trump, godlike, I don't know, fantasies in his mind. It's kind of, I mean, even just a comparison, it's interesting.
I'd be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a
what are these emojis?
I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or...
Yeah, it's incoherent. It's a bit of like a senile, incoherent vibe.
400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much.
Why don't you give back the money? I think it would be a great gesture.
I thought it was a beautiful gesture. Now, there are those that say we shouldn't be accepting gifts to the Defense Department. And I would say only a stupid person would say that.
It should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people.
We're giving to everybody else. Why wouldn't I accept a gift?
If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo.
Saudi Arabia.
But it's crazy that, this we have had a whole avalanche of like Epstein files being released and Trump's relationships with Epstein being re-examined, and it's, the machine does what it does, and it has been, for the most part, they've really been trying to move past it. Although it has changed American society for good. Like it used to be a fringe thing, but now it's just like everyone knows about it, and it's just like an open secret at this point. It's crazy. But again, it creates space. It creates space for, like, I mean, the Epstein stuff, the Israel's genocide in Gaza, all of it creates space for, like, certain type of candidates to be, like, completely off the board now. Like, it opens the space for other candidates that stand in complete opposition to that to have a better chance to be elected. To be honest, Trump can't change any policies he opposes. He only cares about money. Even if someone were queer and brought him money, he wouldn't care. He just wants his supporters to see him in a good light. Yeah, and it's interesting because I would say that it's a really fine line. Like, at the moment, Trump is indeed, I mean, with this whole, like, 250th birthday charade, like, he is absolutely, not really worried about using this as, like, a unifying moment for the country. Like, he is using this to, get more votes, to make sure that, his electoral chances, or I guess of the party, of the MAGA movement, are as strong as possible. And for all of the other, reforms and policies he wants to push through. Like, this type of event usually would be, regardless of the president, would usually always be a moment for national unity, all that stuff. But, he doesn't really care about that. Because MAGA is at a bit of a crossroads. MAGA is having some issues dealing with things. So, he really needs this shit. Including the blue reflecting water. That is green, but it is blue. And if you say it's green, you're going to get deported. That's all I have to say. About to start knocking down the reading list tomorrow. Managed to track down most of them on online archives. Oh, nice. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of ebooks online. Big fan. But nice. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things, if you get through it slowly but surely, that's the way to do it. 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how far you get. Society has changed, but there's no actual action or strict laws to catch these involved people. They gave us the files. What's the point of the files the criminals have been caught? Oh, absolutely. I mean, the work's not done yet. That's for sure. Also, I don't know if I want to finish this video. It's so useless. But hey, that's just, we'll leave the United States stuff at that, because I do want to get into some EU news. And maybe, I had this channel 4 reporting as well about Trump's, like, crypto shenanigans. But like I said, let's dive into some EU news. Because, like I said, I wanted to look at some stuff from France, from Germany, and then some, for example, Ukraine, Russia stuff if we have the chance. I think we can start off with the French news, because that's the least videos I have on it. So, let's see. What kind of EU news? What we have? Listen, we have a couple different things. For example, like I said, for me, the most interesting stuff, we previously had a lot of, like, UK elections happen, so we talked about that in the last weeks and last months. For now, I want to shift focus a bit more to talk about France and Germany, because they also have elections coming up in early 2027. So, for me, I think France has, like, the clearest left candidate that, adheres the most to, like, progressive values, leftist values, like, actually representing people's interests. In Germany, there's also leftist groups. I just haven't familiarized myself too much, but we will get to that in the coming weeks. So, the situation in France is also interesting because, we have Jean-Luc Melechon. He is a really interesting character. We'll dive into some other interview clips that I have from him. But in France, the other thing is there's also a really, strong presence of, like, the far right. especially represented in the national rally with Marine Le Pen, and otherwise with, what was it, Jordan Barbella? I always forget his name, dude. That sucks. Wait, let me just double check. Was it Jordan? I forgot. How am I forgetting that guy's name? I think it's Jordan Bardella? Wait, give me a second. We can just look it up. Huge. No, not Bar. God damn it. Where is this guy's full name? I swear to God. Jordan. Okay, yeah, Jordan Bardella. There you go. So, let me recap. In France, there's a really big, momentum as well on the far right, and but this also exists on the left, right? So, and especially if they can kind of coalesce around one candidate like Jean-Luc Melechon, but there's still some danger on the right as well with, for example, Marine Le Pen, but she's still awaiting a verdict which will decide potentially whether she can run or not. And if she can't run, the national rally have a backup plan with Jordan Barbella. And so, it will be tricky, but let's just watch this reporting by France 24 to get up to speed about this appeal. I think the appeal will be publicized on July 7th, which I think is on Tuesday. So, yeah. I saw some Mertz controversy last week regarding the sick leave. Yeah. Goddamn. You can tell that motherfucker is black wrong through and through. For real, dude. Like, the sick leave is crazy. Like, that's a crazy step. Like, it really feels like Germany is just kind of slowly but surely building like walls and fences around people's freedoms, and they're just going to start making it smaller and smaller. That sounds like really conspiratorially, but I'm just also putting it in context with their push for like conscription, and it's just like, if it doesn't happen voluntarily, we're gonna have to make it mandatory. It's just like, and Mertz is just like the classic like centrist, like, and I wouldn't even call him liberal, but like classic centrist, whatever kind of a figure that through his incredibly unpopular policies that clearly only represent the ruling capitalist interest, he's gonna push people very easily into the hands of the AfD, of the far right, unless there is, again, a strong progressive leftist candidate that can, speak to people's anger and convince them to not vote for the far right and to vote for a party or a candidate that represents the people's interest. There's no longer any point in considering Britain as a part of Europe. They have started following the Americans in a disgusting way. I get what you mean, but unfortunately, for better or for worse, we are still pretty closely together. No hate, but you may have some Euro exceptionalism that may need deconstructing. I'm not refuting that UK is following US, but EU certainly isn't immune. Yeah, it's just like the UK is just like, in some ways it's economically more an island more than anything. Like, it's geographically an island, but it's also kind of economically an island. But besides that, it's still really closely dealing with Europe in a lot of ways, whether that is, for NATO businesses, whether that's, for other types of manufacturing. So they're still really closely related. It's just more difficult. There's just more hoops to jump through. But anyway, going back to this reporting, let's just jump into it, and then we can watch some clips from Jean-Luc Melechon. But let's start with Paris Appeals Court's ruling could upend Marine Le Pen's 2027 presidential bid.
The case against Marine Le Pen and other national rally figures has now turned their supporters away. Less than a year before France's presidential election, an embezzlement ruling could decide whether Le Pen can run, an unprecedented situation for...
Also, I think we spoke about it last time, but again, I don't know what it is, but we are seeing yet another EU far-right candidate with a blonde pushback. We last time, oh, I was gonna do a ranking. Shit, I need to write this down. We were gonna do a ranking of EU like blonde pushbacks. God damn it, I need to write this down because that was so funny. Oh, guys, I will make this for next time. Okay, next time we will do a bit of gaming and we'll not blind rank, but we'll just rank EU blonde far right hair. So dumb, but we'll do it because it's really funny. Or well, we'll see if it's funny, but it needs to happen. Anyway, but yeah, she's rocking it, and she's just like such a quintessential, like also a weird like nepo political situation. Yeah. Yes, that's what I mean. None of Europe can really be considered European anymore, especially the major countries in Europe. I mean, I would say that if anything, Europe is being very European right now. I feel like the only thing that's missing is for European countries to kind of go to war with each other. Like that would be the most European thing that Europe could do. Like right now we are not at war amongst ourselves. We created a war between Ukraine and Russia, so we're using that as like our thing. But, but I get what you mean? Like I guess what you mean is like, Europe is not independent enough, which with that I agree. With that, I absolutely agree. And that's actually one of the things that I want to talk about that Jean-Luc Melechon also says is that he is very firm about being non-aligned and having European independence. Let me see, where was the clip? Yeah, because and he projects that also onto the situation with Ukraine and Russia, where it's like, in another interview, he was asked like how would he deal with Russia as opposed to how Macron is dealing with it, and of course Macron is very much pro-war, sending troops, all that stuff, and Jean-Luc would be like, well, the goal should be peace. We need to be in a situation of peace, but we can't just be giving Russia everything. Like there need to be certain ways in which Russia comes to the table, in which we come to the table, but has to be based in non-alignment and independence. And that is very different from what you see that the AfD in Germany is doing, because the AfD wants a type of economic pragmatism, let's say, right? They want to get back to a situation where Germany received cheap fossil fuels from Russia. But that's also because the AfD has close ties to Russia. So yeah, I really like Jean-Luc's approach. That in a way kind of maybe brings back the Europe that you speak about, that is, independence, non-alignment, and really focused on a situation of peace, using our resources efficiently and properly. So yeah, the history of EU has always been intertwined with fascism, colonialism, white supremacy. There is zero romantic Europe that we're straying away from, and this is a logical conclusion that's been propped up forever. I never imagined that we would even reach this state. America is forcing us to participate in their wars. Yeah, unfortunately, America makes us either participate in their wars or be considered their enemies if we don't refuse either. Yeah, and this is like, it's interesting because I would say, especially after World War II, like Europe was in such an interesting position to actually flip socialist, flip communist. Europe was destroyed. They had seen what the Nazis had done. They were incredibly sympathetic to the message of the communists, which means that, working class people deserve, emancipation. And that would have been fantastic, right? If Europe could have rebuilt in that way, cohesively with USSR, things like that. But of course, there was a stop put to that, right? So I think that idea is not gone yet, right? But the Europe of right now is far from it, right? There are some heavy capitalist influences in our ruling class, in our states, right, that are forcing capital domination over the working class. So I do keep in mind, the good old Marshall Plan, exactly. So I do keep in mind that there is a world in which that can happen again, right? We shouldn't need to come to a situation of the World War II, but working class people all over Europe are sick and tired of what's happening. They're sick and tired of the wars. They're sick and tired of their living conditions deteriorating. So we need competent leaders to, not micromanage like the liberals do, but to lead, to help us get out of this situation of an obsolete future and to step into a future where we can actually prosper. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting what you both bring up. I think they're like a nice Europe may not have yet materialized, but there still is a future where that can happen, and that's, I think, what we're all hoping for. But yeah, so that's why I like to also look at candidates like Jean-Luc Melechon, because they are also really good at verbalizing, what we are up against, what type of position we need to take. I'm sure he's speaking in French, so not super useful to listen to his video, but pretty much, as reported by Clash Report, French presidential candidate Jean-Luc Melechon on the U.S.-France relationship. Fundamentally, he wants non-alignment and independence. Every domain in which we are in their hands, we must get out of. I'm thinking particularly of digital data storage and artificial intelligence. In 250 years of history, there have been 26 years of war. That doesn't exactly inspire my sympathy. They stole half of the territory of Mexico. Okay, let's go, Jean-Luc. Okay, let's go. On y va. For those who still have any doubt that we need a cautious and distant friendship from them, go watch Anton Baudry's film. You'll see how the United States intends to occupy us and replace our currency. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, tell them what is happening. Oh man, I love this guy. So yeah, absolutely. We need an independent Europe now more than ever. But not the type of independent Europe that means, so we'll just manufacture the weapons ourselves instead of having the United States manufacturing them. No. We need to have an independent Europe that means that our institutions, our resources are not used to maintain Israel, to maintain the genocide, and also directly and indirectly not to keep the war in Sudan going. So there's a lot of responsibility that we can take back on the bad things that are happening in the world if we take this type of non-alignment and independence position, which absolutely would not be the case if Marine Le fucking Pen gets elected, okay? Very different France we will be talking about. We can participate economically or cooperate with that. We no longer have the transparency. We're getting involved in conflicts that aren't even ours. But what difference does it make to represent Europe? If it's still just European bourgeois, it still just replicates the same results. Yeah, and I think that's like an interesting thing you point to, which I feel like me personally on like a personal level, I also really like think about in the sense of like, there's a type of like European identity that we need to reclaim. Like the patriotism that the far right pretends to have about Europe or individual countries is not theirs. The history and the identity of like European and whatever country you grew up in or whatever, like that's like I have really also personally made some strides in like reclaiming my European identity, my Dutch identity, my Portuguese identity. I have made a lot of effort to kind of reclaim those identities by understanding the history, by understanding, who benefits from what. I feel like, there's a lot to be gained from reclaiming those identities from the far right, and to be like, Europe is not like inherently evil because it is Europe. Europe is evil because of like the evil systems and people that have occupied it. And so Europe needs to be liberated, not from migrants or women or trans people, but Europe needs to indeed be liberated from the bourgeois, from the capital class. But yeah, that's just my little tangent off that. Yes, we have a long history with those matters, but that's why we shouldn't continue letting America use us. Enough is enough. We are tired of these things. Until when? We're trying to repeat another war. Like right now, the actions France is taking in the Sahel in the interest of France isn't so much at the behest of U.S. capital, but it's so it became the same result. Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's also where there are contradictions even within ruling classes across either different European nations or between Europe and the United States. Like, there's still like internal contradictions even within those ruling classes. So, you know, we just need to make sure that the working class is more cohesive, more organized, for sure. Because it's the difference between having someone like this that is very aware and conscious of what direction France needs to go into, or someone like this. So let's continue with this video for now.
Leading contender. As the party awaited the appeals court decision, it showed a united front.
If the courts bar me from running for president, then it's with great energy and with great conviction and great confidence.
Oh my God, I can't, guys. And I was gonna say something, but I'm just gonna move on.
That I will support Jordan Bardela's candidacy every single day, right up until his victory.
Because Jordan Bardella, the party's president, was not prosecuted in the case. That means the 30-year-old could step in as the National Rally's presidential candidate if Le Pen is barred.
I reaffirm my friendship and loyalty to you. I'd like to tell you that we made this pact for the sake of history, to campaign together in the wake of these unjust decisions made against you and some of our friends.
Le Pen and the others were found guilty of using European Parliament funds to pay party staff in France, violating European Parliament rules. But the National Rally remains well placed in the polls, whether its candidate is Le Pen or Bardella.
I choose a party, not a person. I really like them both, and I don't see a real difference between them.
Bardella has not escaped scrutiny either. An anti-corruption group wants him investigated over allegations that he once held a fake European Parliament assistant job. Allegations he and the National Rally
That is such a what an accusation.
held a fake European Parliament
Fake European Parliament assistant job. Man, anything to pad the resume, am I right? Oh goodness. Yeah, but again, like I said, the important part is, I mean, we thankfully have like a interesting example to point to with Zoran Mamdani, because you know, the difference for him was all of the volunteers, you know, other people in the party in his election campaign that were on the ground campaigning, canvassing, convincing people that voted for Trump, that Zoran Mamdani, if the things that you care about is affordability, housing, you know, public transport, you know, that sort of thing, if that's what you care about, then you need to vote for Zoran Mamdani, because like, you need to go out there and convince people. And I'm not saying that every single person that intends to vote National Rally is going to be convinced to vote for Jean-Luc Melechon, but there are people that will be convinced. That's just what it is. There's people that voted for Bernie Sanders and then voted for Donald Trump. I'm not saying that those people are smart or in other ways are examples, but they are an example of that people can be flipped. And you need to go in it with that intention, with that mentality of like, this is a person that cares about, you know, living. They care about their family, having affordable living. That means that, you know, if I'm a party that represents that, I can hopefully get them on my side. If we allow America to make us do that, what difference are we honestly making in our history? Yeah, I mean, again, speaking from like the people's history, absolutely. Like, we cannot allow these motherfuckers that are in power right now to fuck us over like this. Like, Europe needs to be in, like, I don't know, man. I'm like so sick and tired of Europe just being like one of the like villains in the world. Like, I want Europe to be a force for good. Like, that's what I want. That's what I used to think that Europe was. Then I found out it wasn't. And then I was like, well, guess what? I'm still going to work to make Europe a force for good. I swear to God. If we put too much focus on separation between nations, we may lose sight of class consciousness in favor of this Eurocentric nationalism, and people will just remain comfortable living at the expense of those outside of Europe. Yeah, and I think that there is a bit of a healthy balance, because I think that like I don't have enough knowledge, but I'm even gonna put this out there anecdotally. I think a United States of Europe, like a People's Republic of Europe, is kind of interesting just for the fact that if we can, have like a bit of a centralized planning and organizing going on, that's kind of what we need for like in industry, for like to reindustrialize. Like that's the type of like command economy we will need. Like we will need Europe to have like this region focuses on this region focuses on this. But if they kind of work together, we need to kind of put them together. Like right now, the structure of Europe is like built for exploitation, even within Europe. So yeah, absolutely. I would like a bit of a united Europe for the sake of like reindustrialization, not weapons manufacturing, and that it would benefit, the people wherever they live. We committed atrocities in the past, and if we want to stop that, we must not get involved in more wars that don't even concern us in the first place. Yeah, but it's funny because there's so many people that don't even have the like perspective of like we did bad things in the past and we are capable of doing them now, so we need to learn from the past. Like in the Netherlands, there was just recently a celebration called Katie Kotti. And it means broken change, and it's an annual holiday celebrated on July 1st, primarily in Suriname, the Netherlands, and the Dutch Caribbean, and it marks Emancipation Day, commemorating the abolition of slavery in the Dutch colonies in 1863. So this is like a big thing, right? Especially for like certain migrant communities that have been living in the Netherlands right now. This is just a big, important holiday. It's not a public holiday, but it is a holiday nonetheless. But there's so many Dutch people that will be like, why are we still bringing this up? Why are we still talking about it? Blah, 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 blah. It's, the same type of discussion in a way of like America and like slavery being abolished and people being like, yeah, but it happened so long ago. It's not my fault. Da, da, da. And it's just like, I do wonder like people's inability to perceive history and to take some lessons from it. That is really holding people back. It does suck. More atrocities in European history until we create another world war. We're tired of this. Would be nice to have less atrocities. Anyway, but yeah, so this guy apparently had some allegations of a fake European Parliament assistant job. Very scary for him. But yeah, so that's kind of the situation in France. Marie Le Pen is awaiting Marie Le Pen appeal verdict. Will the far-right leader be barred from the French presidency? That's kind of what it comes down to, because if the appeal doesn't get rejected or whatever, she has to do a couple years in jail. But then, like, yeah, it's like a whole thing. But it's kind of like it's three things that can happen. One, the appeal gets rejected and nothing changes, and she just has to she gets convicted for the like embezzlement of European funds, European Parliament funds. Or it gets completely overturned and she can just freely run, which I don't think is likely. And then there's like an option where it doesn't fully get overturned and doesn't fully get rejected, but they kind of adjust it a little bit, kind of minimizing the sentence a little bit, meaning that she can still run, I think. So we'll have to see what happens. France, of course, recently was dealing with a lot of like anti-judicial court sentiment because of like this 11-year-old girl that got killed. And then I didn't follow the story on the stream much, but like that was a whole thing that happened, and like one of the main issues there was like a really big distrust about the judicial process. So anyway, I hope, of course, that she does get prosecuted, but I don't know, man. I just hope that law gets applied, as much justice can be brought from the situation. And at the end of the day, we can ban her, but then they have a contingency plan with Jordan Bardella. I keep forgetting his name, bro. Jordan Bardella. He's the contingency plan, the 30-year-old protege. Then if people still vote for him, regardless, we need a strong, progressive, leftist alternative. That's just what it is. But, you know, going back to a couple more clips from our dear... Where is it? From our dear Jean-Luc. I had this, we had that. We had Dios. And I guess we had this. So let's have a look. Is it like some kind of campaign or just talking about things they don't like? You mean this? The France National Rally? I forgot. My short-term memory, I forgot. Okay, yeah, so their campaign, yeah, I mean, in a way, you're kind of right. Like, their campaign usually focuses on, you know, what can I give as a good example? Like, their campaign in a lot of ways, it's very similar to many other like far right candidates across Europe. It's, you know, against immigration. It's this interesting thing where they want to be close to Trump, but at the same time, they sometimes have to take positions that are popular within the country. So even though Trump is very pro-war, pro-Israel, sometimes they have to take a little step back. But, you know, it's that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm trying to see if I can have some like nice little overview here. But what it comes down to is at the end of the day, you know, these people are like Marine Le Pen is having private dinners with some of France's billionaires. You know what I mean? Like they are, at the end of the day, they don't really care about what the people care about. They just care to get into power, cut social services, and make sure more money goes to the wealthiest. Like a public backlash. Oh, okay. So like the reason why she's in this like whole, you know, appealing the verdict, it's because of she embezzled this story. So France far right Le Pen appeals. Yeah. So she just got accused and convicted of like embezzling European Parliament funds, and so she has been on this whole thing where it's like, yeah, they can't ban me, they're just scared, but even if they ban me, I have this other person. So it's just like, I mean, it's kind of like Trump, right? Trump also got, what was it, man, he was always saying some shit. He was like, they tried to whatever, but it's similar to Trump, right? Trump got convicted, but it didn't necessarily stop him from running at the end of the day. But it sure as hell also didn't stop him from constantly bitching about it. So it's a little bit of a situation like that. Like there is some stuff that was brought up against them. Brought up against her. She got convicted. And she would technically be banned from standing for office for 5 years, which would disqualify her from running in the 2027 presidential election. Like that's the main thing. And so that's what they're appealing right now. And the appeal will be published on, I think it was like the 7th of July. Oh shit, what the hell? Some cat fur. Yeah, so Marine Le Pen has already run for president 3 times, but her popularity has risen significantly since her last attempt in 2022. As the clear front runner in the polls, in the polls for both the first and second rounds of the upcoming elections, she is well aware her political fate lies with the July 7th decision. So yeah, again, if the prosecution demands are upheld, I'll be prevented from running. That's really what it comes down to. Those rich people are greedy. We really need to have a counter movement against them. I hate the greedy rich class. Yeah, I mean, and that's I mean, speaking of someone to go up against that, here we have Jean-Luc Melechon. He has said a lot of things. Let me see, where can we start with? I mean, yeah, like I said, he, for the most part, his main thing is non-alignment and independence. He wants to move out of American, sphere of influence and Americans having access to all of, sensitive digital data. Also things like artificial intelligence. And on top of that, he is also really clear about where they stand on, regarding Israel and Iran. So again, I mean, the videos I'm assuming are all in French. Yeah, they are. So we'll just focus on the text. But so Clash Report reporting that French president candidate Jean-Luc Melechon says that is Iran a threat to the world? No, I don't believe that for a second. The illegal attack on Iran produced a strengthening of the regime, which now enjoys absolutely unprecedented prestige in the world because Iran defeated both Netanyahu and Trump. It was a very bad service that both of them rendered to universal humanity. Today it is Netanyahu who does not respect peace, massacring the Lebanese en masse and continuing to kill Palestinians en masse. The principal source of disorder and war is the government of Mr. Netanyahu with fascists in power, and the fact that this country is nuclear armed with anyone ever holding it to account. I find this all very dangerous. So yeah, for him, I mean, let's see. What can we...
Il ne l'était pas davantage auparavant. Tout ce que l'attaque illégale de l'Iran a produit, c'est un renforcement du régime qui bénéficie maintenant d'un...
Yeah, okay, I think it will just be...
Et l'un et l'autre ont rendu à lui. Aujourd'hui, c'est Netanyahou qui ne la respecte pas en massacrant les Libanais en masse. Non, la presse et le gouvernement...
Yeah, so the main point is that, Jean-Luc Melechon is very clear about this. He's very clear about, not wanting to be close to the United States. He's very clear about who is causing the violence, the escalating violence in the situation of Lebanon, Iran, that it is Israel, and that it is the United States and Israel, and that France continues to support it as well, saying later on, or at some point as well in this interview, that on the topic of Macron receiving Trump at Versailles, this man attacked a country, Iran, an illegal war with an associate, Mr. Netanyahu, who invades all his neighbors. After he imposed on us, on Europe, 5% of our GDP to buy American weapons and tariffs that are unbearable and which the European Union accepted with its usual spinelessness. Yeah, this will still also be such a crazy time. I remember when we talked about it on stream, it was just kind of really flabbergasted because at that point I was kind of streaming not for that long. So it was kind of like my first cycle in talking about it and kind of, keeping a closer eye on the news. And I think for me, what was just most interesting is just like, it is really crazy to see how spineless Europe was in the face of those types of threats. I was like, I was taken aback by seeing it all play out and just like what Europe was left with in that deal. And I mean, yeah, we were forced to buy American weapons and we are forced to pay tariffs and we have to buy American fossil fuels because America wants to take Russia's place in Europe's manufacturing base in that way, right? And it was quite astonishing. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. I feel like the stand in shouldn't be allowed either. It's pretty much just running her by proxy. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess what can you do? I think the main reason why he is allowed to is because he specifically wasn't part of this prosecution. I think there was other people from National Rally that were, so I guess he just kind of left him. But yeah, it will be to see if that will change people's minds. But yeah, otherwise it's just like, vote for him. Vote for him is a vote for me. I can't run, but vote for him. It's fucking crazy. Unfortunately, it was our responsibility to annul the Balfour Declaration. We created the state illegitimately, and now they are committing a crime against humanity. Has Jean-Luc spoken out about Macron's rampant support for their neocolonialism? I assume it's... Yeah, I mean, he, I think, what was it? This one? I don't know if I have it here. I mean, I think so. I mean, for him, the more important points are just like, again, non-alignment, independence, but yeah, we'll see. I thought I had something here. I guess I don't. But yeah, I'm not sure. Actually, not sure about his specific. I'm trying to think. What was it again? I don't remember. I don't remember where I read about it. I get why he's allowed, but ideally he shouldn't be. Everything I've seen from him is really good, so yeah, I assume that he would be one of the broader goals. Yeah, he's just one of the like true left candidates in Europe. Like he like, for example, I would say that he is a more true left candidate even than Pedro Sanchez. Like Pedro Sanchez, he's been putting out some great stuff, but Jean-Luc is even more like true left. Also speaks truth to a lot of issues. And so it would, I mean, having Pedro Sanchez and um, Jean-Luc Melechon both in power in Europe would be so good for like turning the tides of like the far right. That would be such a good momentum building for like progressive leftist candidates to get to power. Kind of like we're hopefully, with the wave of like democratic socialists, like stuff like that would be really good to also see in Europe. But yeah, come down to earth, my friend. You really think Versailles is going to stop a war? It's the opposite. When you go to Versailles, you really start wars. What else did he say? Oh yeah, and he just kind of, for him, the issue is as well with like the leftists in France, like besides France Unbound, La France Insoumise, is that a lot of, center left candidates seem to try and not rally behind France Unbound and Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc Melechon. So, what he said about that is that we would prefer a proper formal alliance with the Communist Party, with the ecologists centered around my candidacy, because I have already won the left-wing primary twice in the two previous presidential elections. We welcome all those who come to help us reach the second round and to win. We do not exclude them on the pretext that their leaders refuse to help. And this will be very important. Like, yeah, there are some establishment, like leftist figures that are really, for some reason, out there to try and whatever it takes, not collaborate or not rally behind Jean-Luc Mélenchon. But it would be really good if he does get that support, the broader leftist support. I don't know much about Jean-Luc is very funny. Jean-Luc, but he seems to think rationally, especially on this subject. Oh yeah, I mean he is he's a veteran in that regard. Like it's okay. John is just really funny. Jean-Luc. My name is Jean-Luc Melechon. I'm here in France. Or that's his American his American persona. I'm the best placed candidate among the youth because they are aware of the danger weighing on the planet, on the immediate lives, due to the infertility epidemic. I thought it would go in the direction of climate change, but okay. For the first round, we can eliminate the RN. If Marine Le Pen or Jordan Bardella reaches the second round, I will beat them because our country is neither racist nor fascist. Yeah. Honestly, I should have just found the full interview and reacted to that, but it's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, that all to say that France, it is still a little bit up in the air, but there is a strong candidate with Jean-Luc. He is very much pro-Palestinian. He supports the pro-Palestinian candidates, in his parties, locally and things like that. And he is really crystal clear about the need for organized solidarity between, because like I said, in a way he's much more like true left, true progressive than even someone like Pedro Sanchez, but he is really clear that we need to still see what Pedro Sanchez is doing and stick together. That is very important. Word so quickly didn't prove it. My mistake. Yeah, it was a funny mistake, so I'll allow it. No, you're fine. It's fine. Yeah, wasn't it the Parisian mayoral election recently where it was really fractured around the amplified story of the Nazi having his head cracked in the mass media response to Paint the Left? Yeah, it was a bit of an issue. I mean, it was like not even locally. It was like a full national attempt to really paint black like the whole France Unbowed institution, but they got smeared with anti-Semitism allegations and all that stuff. But then you have like the fucking neo-Nazi response to the guy that died, like, was to be like actually anti-Semitic. Yeah, it was a whole mess. And it just like, it for a while at least, it really made like certain leftist politicians in France think that they cannot, extend their support. It's crazy, but we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds. But yeah, we're just gonna keep an eye on it. Next up, though, I want to move on to some Germany news because, yeah, that's just also important. For what has been happening there. Let me see. We were just talking about it. Germany really set on fucking its working class over as much as possible, from the smallest things to the biggest things, like, weakening the pensions, telling people that they can't call in sick days unless they have a fucking doctor's note or whatever, just dumb shit. That no one asked for, that is not going to solve Germany's actual problems. And on top of that, the threat of the working class being seduced by the lies of the AfD still looming as well. But none of that is changing how the the fucking CDU with Friedrich Merz is moving. They are still so happy to just do whatever their wealthy overlords want from them. So let's just get through the news that I have for that. Let's start here. Merz unveils sweeping reforms to boost German economy. And they're doing a lot, right? They're doing a lot. I know it was nationwide, but I think there was some specific sabotage that happened in the mayoral election, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was. I mean, the Parisian one, like, who ended up winning? Paris mayoral election. Oh, yeah, Emmanuel Grégoire. Oh, right, and then we had her. Lost a lot of seats. That's nice. Les Républicains. Oh, no. No, they gained a bunch of seats. I mean, or seat change. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Right. Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's kind of coming back to me, but also, I guess I'm just not. I'm not fresh on the details. But yeah, going back to German news, where Friedrich Merz is unveiling some sweeping reforms to boost German economy. And let me tell you, I think none of this is gonna involve, like, I don't know, making sure that the biggest corporations and wealthiest families are actually paying their taxes, which they are not. Or making sure that, we're strengthening social safety nets, or, anything that would be good for the economy. Really, no, we're gonna go in the direction of austerity, because that's Germany's most classic playbook. That's the playbook that they force on countries like Spain and Portugal and Italy and Greece during the Euro crisis. But now austerity, of course, is also going to come home. So yeah, let's just dive into that.
Germany's coalition government has unveiled a sweeping package of pension, tax, and labor reforms, along with measures to cut red tape. Chancellor Friedrich Merz says they are designed to boost growth, jobs, and competitiveness while maintaining social welfare protections.
The new reform package was a long time coming, and presenting it to the public.
What's good for BlackRock is good for us. Trickle-down economics, like the good times flow. Hell yeah, dude. wait. What is good for BlackRock is good for us. Ja. Trickle-down economics, das ist sehr gut. Ja. Like, slash German.
Blick, Chancellor Friedrich.
Actually, no, Germans wouldn't be that enthusiastic. They would just be very, very cold, stone-faced. What is good for BlackRock is good for us, ja. Trickle down economics? Ja, sehr gut. Let the good times flow. / German.
Merz made
Oh shit.
its goals clear.
We are working to
God, at some point I'm like, what is this haircut, dude? I try not to body shame because it's like, I get it. It's low-hanging fruits. But this haircut, it's, oh my God. I feel like I comment on it every time too. So it's not even like, I'm not saying anything new, but it just always kind of ends up catching me off guard. It's like, at least shave this part? Like, why are we whatever. Let's just, what?
increase competition, enhance the flexibility of our businesses.
Okay, sorry to pause it yet again, but what he's saying, we are working to increase competition.
Enhance the flexibility of our businesses.
Enhance the flexibility. That is bar for bar exactly what in Portugal, the center right, the conservatives, the far right, was saying in order to try and pass the Portuguese labor package. And they love saying like, oh, we're going to improve competitiveness. We're going to improve the flexibility of our workers. And that's just all bullshit. Or, well, it's branding. It is the shiny packaging by which to sell these reforms, right? Because what it comes down to is that they're just going to try and, tweak a little this, tweak a little that to make sure that exploitation can be a little bit more, and that workers, the working class, have a little bit less rights, and that the people that really depend on social services get a little bit less. That's what it always comes down to when they're saying, oh, we got to be more competitive. Like, when these people say that they got to be more competitive, they're never talking about investing into, reindustrialization. They're not saying that, oh, we need to make sure that our consumers and our citizens, that their rights are strengthened. No, they are taking away rights. They're taking away previously established social safety nets. That's what they mean when they talk about enhancing flexibility and making us more competitive. Like, none of us that are watching this right now are going to benefit from that. Again, unless you or your parents happen to run a fucking drone factory, you're not going to be benefiting from this. Let me tell you. Men could perfectly replicate the South African flag. Oh my God. Linton, I have to stop you right there because otherwise I'm going to go on a tangent and I'm going to pop out the paint. I'm going to make a screenshot. I'm going to open it in paint. So thank you for the mental picture, but oh my God. It really is like you just cut it off there. You make the little triangle. Oh my God. He has the Y shape built in. He really, I mean, if you think about it, it's also kind of like two balls. Stop. I have to stop. I'm not trying to downplay it, but can you shape that side? There's no reason for it to stay. I know. I hate to get distracted by this because they're talking about like destroying our economic stability. But anyway, I hope every time you look at him and you see this, like, this is a representation of how incapable this person and his politics are in like helping German working class people. Like, keep in mind, however shitty his haircut is, it's nothing in compared to how shitty his politics are. But they do go hand in hand.
Reduce bureaucracy, preserve our welfare state, and ease the burden on workers and businesses by lowering taxes and cutting red tape.
The only people that benefit from cutting taxes is the wealthy. Because, I mean, Germany is such a famously tax dodging country for like the biggest corporations. I need to have that article like on hand, but like I remember, when was this? Like, it has to be almost like a year ago. We really went into detail about that. But yeah, Germany is really is king in tax dodging, like the biggest corporations. Like Germany has had unprecedented productivity and like surplus, but none of that has really gone back into German society, right? That's just been slurped up by the owners of the manufacturing, right? Or the, what am I trying to say? Not factories, there you go, by the owners of the factories, not by the workers themselves. Like the workers get a couple crumbs kicked to them, but that's about it. There was no real support for workers unless we force them into it, and none of those things will change even this day and age. Yeah, they're really trying to just sneak it by. They're really trying to like, hey, we're gonna lower some taxes for you guys. Isn't that fun? And then meanwhile they're closing down hundreds and thousands of jobs, like, and any other kind of job that you can get is like join the military. Like that's what's actually happening.
Senken und die Bürokratie zurückbauen.
The coalition government is facing increasing pressure to take steps to revive Europe's largest economy, and they believe they've found a plan to do so. Among the proposed changes is a gradual increase in the retirement age over the coming decades.
Oh, God. I have to keep reminding you that the number one issue in Germany right now is all of the fucking factories that are closing, and the, not thousands, not 10,000, but 100,000 jobs that are going away. That is like, none of that is going to be solved by gradually increasing the retirement age. Like, I'm losing my mind here. Like, they're not saying, oh, we need to immediately like, no, they're not focused on like actually strengthening the manufacturing base. They're focused on tweaking a little here, tweaking a little there, making sure that people have to work more, receive less. That's what they think is gonna like go over well. This is also just so reflective of like, for the most part, like they're not necessarily competent. Like if you were competent, you would at least not do this, right? But this is like, they're just squeezing out whatever they can without reinvesting anything.
With the introduction of a capital markets-based element to the state pension system. Tax relief for working families with children and middle-income households, to be funded by raising the top rate of tax for the country's highest earners. New rules for companies offering fixed-term contracts for up to 48 months, along with greater freedom for dismissal with compensation.
This is exactly what those motherfuckers want to do in Portugal, but that's why we had like multiple general strikes to organize people and mobilize people to be vocal and try to bring down that type of labor reform. Because exactly, like, easier for companies to hire and fire, but like heavy on the fire, you know, like it just kind of completely, and they like to sprinkle in, oh, you know, there'll be a little bit higher taxes at the top, but it doesn't matter if you're like cutting down on the places where those taxes are supposed to go to. Like all of those taxes are just gonna fund the manufacturing of drones, you know.
Agreements. Support for key industries, including the automotive, chemicals and pharmaceuticals, clean technology, machinery, and artificial intelligence. And support for European Union anti-dumping and anti-subsidiary measures, along with promoting key trading partnerships within the EU. The coalition between Merz centre-right Conservatives and the centre-left Social Democrats had been struggling for months to agree on a number of thorny issues. But now it's settled, Chancellor Merz appealed to the public to help make the plan a success.
We know that you, ladies and gentlemen, the citizens of our country, want decisions and do not want conflict. And that's exactly what we've delivered. But we also have a
I have to laugh, dude. We know that you want decisions and not conflict. That's why we're giving you this like lukewarm labor reform that is just gonna kind of break down some of your protections. Oh, Israel's genocide? You want us to stop supporting that because you don't want conflict? Ah, fuck off. Israel is our best friend. We're never gonna stop supporting Israel. we're actually going to increase our support for Israel. Thank you for reminding me. Like, what do you mean, the people don't want conflict? Like, I don't know. Like, all of these words are meaningless because their actions, are just still to constantly be so closely allied to the United States and to Israel. It's insane. The words are meaningless in that regard.
Quest. Join us, support us in the reforms that are now necessary.
Parliament is expected to pass the individual measures in the package by the end of the year.
Political correspondent Simon Young joins us now. What are the big structural ideas behind this reform package, and does it match the scale of Germany's economic problems?
Well, Sarah, one big thing is that this is one of the most unpopular governments that there's ever been. So they need to come up with something big to change that. The offer to the voters here is that they're going to ease income tax for many ordinary taxpayers, and on the other side, they're going to make life easier for businesses, especially with deregulation, removing rules, and so on. So,
my goodness. I mean, they're just going to repeat a little bit, but yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like DW is also like so typical with that. Like, they're not talking about the other stuff that people are really upset about. Yeah, people are really struggling with the cost of living, and they need like actually like progressive worker first solutions. And not to mention that people are also very fucking upset at Germany's like increased venture into militarization and more rearmament, and just like the incredibly close ties with Israel. That's what people are upset about, but I highly doubt that that's gonna come up at all in the reporting.
The big idea is to address the lack of cares, and many economists say but of course that'll all depend on.
He says that this is about boosting growth and fully address Germany's long-standing issues, and I'm talking about low productivity, high bureaucracy, sluggish investment.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at, as opposed to often sectors like at least one,
given how long they struggled to agree on
leaning part of at the start, pushback.
I don't know, guys. I'm really not talking about that sort of thing. But yeah, alas, that's just to kind of open up the stage to talking about Germany a bit, because whereas that's what the German government is focused on, to try and wiggle out a little bit more surplus for Germany's wealthy. At the same time, there is also a lot of anger still that is going in the direction of Germany's far right. For example, with the AfD. And they recently had some, what was it, like a re-election of their two leaders, which was like Alice, what were their names again? Alice... I forget their names. Let's see. Alice Weidel and Tino Chrupalla. So yeah, that pretty much what it was about. Vote to extend the terms of Weidel and Tino Chrupalla, who have headed it for 4 years as co-leaders and ran unopposed Saturday. Weidel was re-elected with 81% of the vote, while Chrupalla earned 70%. German parties elect their leaders every 2 years. So yeah, that was happening. And then, of course, there was a lot of counter-protesters there as well. Reporter van Liefst de Polizei, yeah. He's very scared, so, gotta go on DW and make sure to, regurgitate. Want to support Israel just because America orders us to do so. It seems like it. No, but I would say that the United States, or I would say that Germany has its own really entangled history with Israel. So hey, sometimes European countries are being weird all on their own. But yeah, so the AfD re-election situation was going on, and at the same time there was a lot of people that came to protest against the normalization of this German far right. So let's watch a couple clips from that. This one is by Al Jazeera. Germany's far right opponents of AfD rally outside annual conference.
The protesters had promised to bring tens of thousands of people to Erfurt, aiming to prevent the AfD from holding its party conference there. And while there were
also, mind you, right, this conference, it was on the same day as like a Nazi conference in the past. And of course, AfD will be like, it's just a coincidence. These people, these anti-fascists are always compulsively weaponizing coincidence in history. I'm like, right. It's always a coincidence that you guys push it to the absolute maximum to, see how far you can push it. And then it's always a coincidence. And then it's always a coincidence that you pull back a little, reassess, rebrand, and then come back out. And it's always a coincidence that every one of your members has either a kind of indirect, but for the most part, very direct connection to all kinds of Nazi organizing. But that's just, all of that is just a coincidence. And again, it's just a coincidence that you happen to do this conference on the same date as a previous Nazi conference. It's just always a coincidence, and it's never intentional, and they never, yeah, I don't know how much longer I can go with that. But yeah, these parties, they just they thrive off of seeing how far they can push it. And sometimes they'll push it too far and they will have to, pull back a little, but otherwise they'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and try to keep their momentum going to destabilize their country through this supposed democratic platform.
Some confrontations with
The reason that Germany wants to get rid of its Nazi history, but unfortunately by supporting other Nazis, is the truth. Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make before that. All of our actions are the result of American influence and capital. We have our own fucked up ruling class with our own fucked up interests. Yeah, sometimes we're independent in all of the wrong ways. Unfortunately.
With the police, in the end, the conference went ahead without interruption. So the AfD members re-elected their leaders, who turned their ire on the German Chancellor. Because when he took office last year, Friedrich Merz said he would impose tougher migration laws and revive the German economy. And while asylum applications are down, and large sums have been invested in growth, high inflation, a sluggish economy, and the impact of the war in Iran have all taken their toll.
A
country as large as ours does not change in a week or in a month. We agreed with the Social Democrats a year ago that we want to get our country back on track. Compromises are needed from both sides.
So far.
Classic. How many both sides? The side left to me and the side right to me. They just need to compromise. Classic centrist. Can supporting Israel be considered an act of terrorism? Yet they are doing the exact same thing the Nazis did. This side shows you the extent of hypocrisy. Yeah, and it is interesting. We are really, in real time seeing some media, some politicians, how deeply they are invested in supporting Israel and supporting politicians that support Israel. And all of that stuff, it's just historically unpopular right now. It's kind of crazy.
There have not been many, fueling a sense among voters that the current coalition is out of touch, and one party is benefiting. The far-right AfD, which wants a much harsher immigration policy and favors much better relations with Russia. For the past 2 months...
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier in the stream, that, you have, in a way, 3 different approaches, right? You have, the way the centrist liberals are keep the war with Russia going, more money for weapons to Ukraine, keep it up, Russia is the big, scariest, most blah, blah, blah. And then you have, the AfD, which kind of is hey, maybe we should get close to Russia again and, be just economically pragmatic. We're just being economically pragmatic. And then you have people like Jean-Luc Melechon, which are very clear that, a situation of peace needs to be achieved. No one benefits from this like insane like military tension, like violent tension, and but we need to come to the table with a non-aligned, independent position where we, the goal is peace, and then from there, like it's a new relationship after that, right? It's not, we can't go back to the past. We have to move forward from there. And so here's where we also see that in action. Like the AfD has more close relationships to Russia, but not in a good old fashioned communist style, but in the like we're gonna just get close to this regime and we're gonna let them do what they want, and have no independent, non-aligned position of our own, which is a recipe for disaster, right? It's just like it just invites another foreign influence right into the heart of our own democratic process, which, regardless of what you feel about Russia, it's just not good, right? We need to have political democratic institutions that represent the people's interests, that whose constituency it is. It's just like it's bad regardless. Like there's something to be said about international solidarity, right? Where people that are oppressed or that are up against, bad actors have international solidarity, and that, that material support, that sort of thing. But it's very different when it's quote unquote international solidarity among all of the like groups in society that are genuinely just sowing chaos, death and destruction. Like that's not solidarity. That's just exploitation dripped in dirt and blood. That's just the nature of the word terrorism. It's mostly only employed against people going against the interests of capital. Of course, in some cases, it could be a valid application of the word, but has never been applied equally. Did they suffer from the Holocaust? Yes. They're doing the exact same thing to other people. This is truly severe hypocrisy. I mean, the issue is just like the Jewish people that suffered from the Holocaust were not pro-Israel, right? Like Zionists, who also for a large part are evangelical Christians, they're not even Jewish. Those are the ones that support Zionism and that use the Holocaust as a shield. But yeah, my main point is here that oh, sorry, I wanted to say something about this comment, like the nature of the word terrorism. Dude, this is completely off topic, but so I like watching Smosh, I like watching Hassanabi, and lo and behold, Hassan went on a show, one of the shows that Smosh has. He was interviewed by like Amanda Lee Encanto. She's one of the Smosh people, but she is like so chronically offline, and she was just kind of doing a bit of an introduction for him, and it was just a funny. I'll just show you the clip because it's peak. It's like, it's huge for the me community. It's huge for the me community. Wait, where was it? Where can I find it easily? Probably on Instagram. I think it was on Smosh Alike, maybe. Maybe. Is this what it is? Oh yeah. Oh god, this was so funny. Like I was watching it, I was dying laughing. Anyway, let me unmute. And can I refresh?
Hi, big time streamer. That's what's written here.
Cool.
Are you a big time streamer?
I guess that's what the iPad's saying.
Here's what's crazy. I met you today, and I've never seen anything that you've ever.
Also, Amanda, Portuguese legend, my Portuguese representation at Samaj, Portuguese American. But yeah, she's chronically offline, and that's kind of funny about her. But yeah, so she didn't know anything about Hassan, and honestly, that just made the interaction perfect.
ever done.
Wow, what a boost of confidence for me that was.
I'll just stop talking through the clip and just let you guys
Time
watch it.
streamer. That's what's written here.
Cool.
Are you a big time streamer?
I guess that's what the iPad's saying.
Here's what's crazy. I met you today, and I've never seen anything that you've ever done.
Wow, what a boost of confidence for me that was. Great way to start the show.
I've heard everyone's so excited.
Yeah.
But I saw you outside, and you were like, "Is this Smosh?" And I said, "Yeah. Who are you?"
Yeah.
She was scared.
That's literally
I was
what
scared.
happened.
I was scared. I will say I was scared. You walked in, and I was like, "This
It's the military
man
jacket.
is coming in to take."
I mean, Hassan is pretty tall, and Amanda is also pretty tall, but it's pretty funny that he just showed up and he was like, "Is this Smosh?" And Amanda was like, "What the fuck? Who is this guy?" Nailed that social interaction, Hassan.
Over the building. But
Yeah,
then I
it's-
met you, and you're sweet.
Thank you.
You're a sweetie. Has
Okay.
everyone ever called you sweet?
No.
Okay.
That's not usually what they refer to me as.
What do they say?
That's usually number one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's like being in your 30s, man.
Being 30 plus is basically you're a
Yeah, of the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Hassan,
It was so funny. It's like Smosh. I mean, Smosh is a progressive like environment. Like they're pretty lefty. They've done a bunch of like Palestine fundraisers as well. A bunch. I don't know about a bunch, but they've done Palestine fundraisers. Like for the most part, Smosh is like a force for good, I would say. But still, they're a little bit like squeaky clean in the sense of like they're a brand, so they have to kind of be a little bit more, you know, a little bit more neatly presented than Hassan as an individual could just like let it rip. But that was just so funny where she was like, "Oh, you're a sweetie. Oh, you're such a sweetie. Has anyone ever called you a sweetie?" And Hassan is like, "No, they don't call me that." And then she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, they call me a terrorist." God, that was just the funniest thing. And the video in itself is pretty fun. I mean, some of the questions are a bit more, you know, normal and just like, because I think it's about assumptions being 30 or 30 and older. So that's kind of the vibe. But yeah, it was a fun video. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. I need to watch the Hassan Smosh thing. It was funny. My hope is still that at some point he either goes on the podcast with Amanda and Shane, or for some reason that he goes on Try Not to Laugh, because I just think that would be such a train crash. It would or a car crash, like that would be hilarious. Like Hassan would be so out of place, but at the same time there's so much comedic potential because of how dry his humor is. Anyway, that's just a little bit of my parasocial life. Even though I don't hate Hassan, sometimes I feel like he just does it for views rather than actually believing and being convinced by those views, except for his views on Israel. I mean, I think Hassan is like one individual, right? He's just a political streamer. Like he's not Lenin, but he is a representation of where American class consciousness is at right now, and it is very low. And what Hassan does is reach people where they are, you know, reach people where they are at, and bit by bit, little by little, tell them that your enemy is not your, you know, Mexican neighbor that has an immigrant background. Your enemy is not like the transgender person in your school. Your enemy is both the Republicans and the Democrats that do everything they can to fuck over the working class. And I think that, you know, Hassan just got popular because of like COVID times and other things. Like he is just one of the people that got lucky, and he was able to kind of turn his, you know, content creation somewhat lucrative, and I guess he supports his family, so his money doesn't really go into buying a lot of like, I don't know, private planes or whatever. Like he invested a lot into the stream, and I think that he uses his time to advocate for, you know, candidates that are socialist, or, you know, give platforms to candidates like Zohran Mamdani and all of the other candidates that were elected recently. And it's not because Hassan supports them that they get big, but Hassan just offers a very specific platform that otherwise doesn't exist in the American media landscape, right? Like Zohran Mamdani is not going to have the same platform if he goes on CNN than when he goes on Hassan's platform, right? And so I don't know, man. I never really got the Hassan hate. I think it's very forced. Like he's just a guy. Like for me, I do like from a content making perspective, I do find it interesting. And so I do model some of my content creation off of him because I don't know. I'm a bit China brained in that way where I'm like, if I see someone doing something that I think is also good, if I see someone doing it successfully, I'm going to learn from that and, apply it in my own way. But yeah, I think that Hassan hate is forced. I just think he's just one individual. Like, I think some people are really parasocial. And I think as far as the things he does in the real world and the causes he supports, I think it's a net positive. So, the goal is not for everyone to become Hassan Piker. The goal is for people to become politically engaged and become politically literate. That's what I see, how I see it. If he did it for the views, he wouldn't be so personally involved. If he wanted views, but that's also, if he wanted the views and the money, he would just grift on the right. It's not lucrative to grift on the left, like if you want to grift politically, you grift on the right. That used to be the way to go. You know what I mean? He's like going against Americans are like famously pro-left, right? Like, no, Americans are famously anti-communist, anti-socialist. Americans have been for decades blasted with the anti-communist, propaganda. So he's going up against it. So I don't know him that well, except his views on Israel. Sometimes his talk seems to be based on points that don't lead anywhere. It's just for views. Yeah, but it's like, it's not though, like if it was just for views, then he would be a Trump supporter, or at least he would make content supporting Trump, but he is like for decades now, like right now people are finally a bit more pro-Palestine, but for decades, he was pro-Palestine when it was incredibly dangerous and kind of social suicide, right? To be that way. So I don't know, man. I think he's carved out a good path. But yeah, going back to here in Europe, I just want to take a little sidestep because you talked about like terrorism as like a word and designation, and that reminded me of Hassan and the and the visit he did to Smosh. But yeah, like these people in this little conference, the political leaders like Alice Weidel, wait, I forgot her name. Alice Weidel and Tino Chrupalla, those are the actual terrorists, right? They are the ones actually doing damage to society. They're political terrorists. But what is more useful is to just also look at the way it's reported on, and the leftist progressive candidates that don't get the same platform. But yeah, let's just finish watching this video. He does spend a lot of time wasted on bullshit points made up by random chatters, but that's just indicative of the amount of time he spends doing it. That'd be my main critique. Yeah, I feel like, I feel like I did the same thing with the other guy that was in the stream, like the Norwegian nurse, whatever. Like, and I only stream like twice a week for like 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. Like, if you're doing it 8 hours per day, I don't know. On the one hand, you get kind of good at it, but on the other hand, you can still kind of get lost in it, I'm sure. I don't know. But I can see how it happens. I can see how it happens. You know what I mean? It's a personal point of view and based on a personal opinion, but I'm not saying I'm right about it. Yeah, I think that's valid. It's not always about like convincing, like about being a perfect agreement, but it's just kind of understanding the perspective as well.
It's been leading
anyway,
in the polls,
back to the video.
both nationally and in many states of the former East Germany. Polls.
I feel like, I don't know why this many people have like the little hair on top and then the side shave. Like, for me, I feel like a person that looks like this, especially like this guy on the left, it can really go one of two ways. Either he is literally sitting at an AfD rally, or he is like super like alternative, progressive, like, that sort of thing, and he does D&D campaigns on the weekend. Like, this guy had two paths that he could pick in his life, and he picked the worst one.
And in many states of the former East Germany, such as in Saxony-Anhalt, which is holding an election in September.
The Christian Democrats are doing exactly the opposite of what they promised before the election. That's why our polls are currently the way they are. People are simply fed up. They want their old, safe Germany back, and that comes with the AfD.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. This guy is, I guess, representative of some, like, Eastern German sentiment, but it's like, if you want old Germany back, if you're in East Germany, then you want communist Germany back. So I don't know why people have been so seduced by the AfD fucking stream of it, but man, that's so sad. The dub makes him so fittingly. I know, right? I was also thinking about. I was like, what is this dub?
Their old, safe Germany back, and that comes
It's ominous.
AfD.
Until now, the mainstream party.
I feel like it's like those haircuts that used to refer to specific people. I mean, it's we were talking about it earlier, right? It's like the reclaiming of a certain identity. Like the way that guy was dressed, it's an alternative way of dressing. And that used to represent that you are against, like, you know, the racist or sexist norms in society. But now you're seeing people that are like racist and sexist dressed alternatively, which is crazy. But alas, that's just, again, we just need to reclaim certain identities back from the far right, whether that's like European or whatever country you're from, or whether that's an alternative. Like, you need to reclaim that from the far right. Like, the far right cannot, you know, be the party with the alternative aesthetic or the patriotism. Like, no, like that needs to go back to where it actually belongs, and that's the people that are, you know, for they stand against that type of bigotry in society.
These have always agreed with each other to keep the AfD out of government. But with the latest poll in Saxony-Anhalt putting the party on 42%, that agreement may not be enough.
Because those numbers could give the AfD an absolute majority in this parliament, allowing it to govern this state alone. It would mark the first time that a far-right party had won control of a German state in a free and fair election since the Nazis did in 1932.
Anything this party does is always like always put into comparison with the Nazis, like, and especially in Germany, that should just bring so much more alarm bells than it does. Ay, ay, ay.
And it would send shockwaves through this country and beyond.
But yeah, so again, like I said, they had a bit of an annual, or they had like a re-election situation going on that brought out a lot of like counter protesters, but you know, the conference still went on as planned. And let's see here. Yeah, I guess I don't know how much more time I have, because I'm kind of hitting my limit for what I can today. Let's see, do I have some clips maybe? Yeah, so I don't know. What it came down to is that this specific conference fell on totally coincidentally, if you ask the AfD, it fell on the 100th anniversary of a Nazi party meeting that strengthened Adolf Hitler's rule. So again, anything that AfD does that just happens to be, you know, coincidentally Nazi related, it's always a coincidence, right? It's always a coincidence when it happens, even though it's very much not a coincidence, right? It's dog whistles, and sometimes the dog whistles are a little bit too loud, and then they have to, you know, take a step back and distance themselves. But it is what it is, right? It's a dog whistle to signal to people that or to signal to certain groups in society that, like, hey, we're still here, vote for us, join us, if you feel angry, join us, we will help you, we will solve you. And it's always a lie, right? They sell people a lie, people that are upset, people that are worse off than their parents, they sell them a lie that if they join the AfD that things will get better. But as we always see, it doesn't get better. In fact, it gets worse, and they just, you know, sell out of their constituents as much as they do. They sell them out as much as they do for any other group. So I think that was like other things I can say about it. Yeah. So that's where we can leave it at for now. I think that's gonna be it for today. Like, again, as per usual, I have some more stuff that I might want it to hit, but time restraints are a thing. When this refers to something bad in the past, I would be like, what are you doing? Even if they didn't mean it. Yeah, I don't know. It's good to question people, and it's good to also just have that like historic, background in your mind, historic knowledge, so they can not get away with it as easily. My hair is dried, and it has dried in a very interesting position, but it is what it is. Anyway, guys, sheesh. I think that's gonna be it for today. We did it. Nazi history is being distorted, especially by the Israeli side. Nazis were not targeting only Jews. They wanted the Aryan race to be dominant in Europe and the world. And of course, I think the Nazis targeting Jews, they absolutely targeted Jews, but they also specifically were targeting Jews because a lot of Jewish people were organizing as Marx, as socialists, as leftists, as communists. Did I say communist twice? As Marxists. So it's just, again, another type of far right dog whistle to, create scapegoats in order to get more control, to gain more power, in order to break down society, break down the organizing that the working class has. That's always what it comes down to. Rising fascism is just a representation of, capitalism in decay, struggling for power. So they need to make big moves and try to get power back. And so it really rests on people to fight against it. They started with the Jews, but they wanted to dominate all other races. Yeah, but I would even say that that of course that is part of the Nazi ideology, but that type of thinking is based in like economic reasoning, right? Like it's about resources. It's about the economic base, and that it is just very profitable to exploit people, and you will use a racist ideology to argue that exploitation and to push it as further as you can. And like it's just like it just has no end, right? These wars, this conquest, this colonialism, it has no end, right? Because it's just like the only thing they want is more profits, more resources, more exploitation. And we have seen it everywhere, but just like what the Nazis did, the Holocaust is just like, as far as like European history, it's up there with all of the exploitation that they did in Africa, and all the practices that we saw in colonialism. But yeah, the just like gassing of individuals that is a dark thing, and it's being repeated again. The genocide that we're seeing, it's being again. Speaking of the Nazi framing of Judaism and its connection to Marxism, did you see Hassan speaking with Professor Young? God damn it, motherfuckers. Yeah, I saw the video. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet, but I saw it and I was like, ooh, I'm curious about that. So I might check it out tonight, as I'm getting ready for tomorrow. But yeah, I was curious about that because I was like, oh my God, this professor and the shit that he's been putting online. I'm curious how Hassan is gonna investigate that in a conversation or a debate or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I hadn't seen it yet. All right, guys, we did it. And luckily the temperature is starting to go down, so that means I can start opening blinds, opening windows, getting a little bit of wind blasting through the house. He was just going through various conspiracies with no backing. Yeah, but that's really what it is. Like, if like a person like Hassan has a bit of background knowledge, so he can ask questions, he can push, and then the house of cards falls apart like you would expect it to do. Ah, guys, I'm so happy I'm home alone. Like, this also just really makes me think, like, man, I really need to it's hard. It's easier said than done, right? But like having my own place, oh, it's just such a blessing, right? Just being able to just exist, have your own rhythm to things. It's just so nice. But yeah, shit's tough out there, so we take what he can get. Hassan didn't push back as heavily as he could. It was more just a showcase about how insane Young truly is. Yeah, it's just kind of like clearly Hassan is like, if Professor Young and the stuff that he's pushing is like a tumor or like a really bad cyst, like Hassan is like, he's kind of like diagnosing the disease. He's not going to go full operation, full getting the cancer out. Like, he's just diagnosing, he's prodding, he's poking. He's like, oh, there's a little bit of pus over there. Oh, we see the tumor is particularly nasty over there. Yeah, we'll leave it to the actual surgeons to do the operation. But yeah, it's good to diagnose and to just indeed have a place where all of that is like crystallized into a video that people can look at and see the grotesqueness of that sort of grifting for what it is. Ugh. I have studied Nazi history away from biases, although their targeting of Jews is a fact. Jews are not the only people targeted, and this is what I was saying to refute Jewish argument regarding. I mean, yeah, of course. Like, okay, well, let me be specific. Yes, Jewish people were not the only ones targeted. It was also disabled people. It was also queer people. It was also Romani people. It was a lot of different people. But, like, I think, the targeting of Jewish people is also, like, historically something that has happened in many other places. Yeah, I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. But my point is that the Holocaust is real. And Jewish prosecution was very real in Nazi Germany. But that history is indeed being weaponized as a shield for, like, very disingenuous, like, Zionist goals that only worsen conditions for Jewish people at the end of the day. Oh, my cats are so cute. One of them is in a box and the other one is, like, spreading out on the couch. Wait, maybe I can show it. They are kind of dealing with the heat the best they can. Wait. Da-da-da-da. Can you see them? Like that. One of them is in a box. So cute. Anyway. That's cute, isn't it? I love my little fellas. Cute little kitties. All right, nice. All right, guys. I've seen leftists uncritically consuming. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've seen his stuff, but I don't know what it is. Like, I think there's, like, a difference between someone like Professor Jiang and, like, someone like Professor Norman Finkelstein. Like, Norman Finkelstein, I don't know. It's like, maybe it's like a vibe thing, but again, that's anecdotal, based on nothing. But I never really vibed with Jiang. There was always something. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you. It might like, I don't know, but there was always something about it that was like, something's not right here. But I also never consumed this content enough for me to, like, dissect it. But it was just one of those things that it just feels, it kind of, maybe it did have a little bit of, like, a paper tiger, like a House of Cards type of feel, where it was like, this guy is throwing out a lot of stuff, but it's never really backed up. But so I just never really approached his content. But, like, someone like Norman Finkelstein, like, he is so, and I respect him so much about it, and it really motivates me as well. But, like, he is so purposeful about the truth, and you have to research, and you have to read the facts, and you have to understand it, and before you speak, you have to know, at least to an extent, something about the situation. So I try, I mean, of course, as a content creator and, commentary, I try to give my opinion as best informed as I can make it, but I do try to take a distance if I'm going, like, into something and I just don't know enough about it. But yeah, Norman Finkelstein is the GOAT in that regard. I'm going to play with them. Give them some treats. Yeah, I know, right? They're cute. Cute cats. Yeah. Someone who takes care of cats can never be a bad person, no matter what. I don't know. I will say that just because you like animals doesn't make you a good person. Like, famously, Hitler was, like, a vegetarian and he liked dogs. Like, doesn't make him a good person. Now, we can take the stakes a little bit lower and be like, hey, if you like cats, that's awesome. You know what I mean? But doesn't mean someone can never be a bad person. In fact, a lot of people can be kind of weird sometimes when they value animals more than they value humans. Like, I'm a vegetarian. I've been vegan previously, and I still, I don't like to be too much about like whatever. But yeah, I get what you mean. I shouldn't take it so direct and so serious. I was just, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But yeah, cats are awesome. And you know what picture I love? I love that picture of Lenin where he's like, you know, surrounded by books and he's like petting a cat. Oh, one of my favorite Lenin pictures. Jung is just a total whack job. Even when I've seen it in passing, he gets the most basic definition so totally wrong. I feel like people consuming him have likely been introduced to his idea purely through his content. Yeah, and I also feel like people that probably got into him. Yeah, he was just always doing like weird bets. Like oh yeah, and that's also one of these things. Like he is very much about like he likes predicting and predicting where things will go, and he's like really forceful in like predicting the outcome of like Iran. And it's like, yeah, you can oh my god, dude, can you see in the chat? Blue is taken. I'm celebrating my 1-year mod anniversary. That's awesome. Woohoo! Let's go. That's awesome. But yeah, I think what I was gonna say was like Professor Jiang also has this weird tendency to try and predict the outcomes of world events. Like, it's one thing to analyze and be like, if you are gonna do this and this, you can't be surprised if the country is gonna do this and this. Like, that's like one thing is to analyze based on like previous stuff, but to be like, this is gonna happen and then this is gonna happen and Iran is gonna do this and like that also feels very icky to me. Like, especially like I feel like in my studies, it was always this thing about like, you shouldn't try to predict what's going to happen. Like, yeah, it's one thing to analyze and to be like, well, based on history, you know, we can assume certain precedents or we can assume certain da-da-da, but like to do predictions is crazy. In this on vid, he says that the ruling class is telepathically communicating in order to enact their willfully right. Of course, as we all know, the ruling class is perfectly aligned with each other. No contradictions, even within the ruling class. Not that they're acting in their interest. No, that would be crazy. Yeah, that too. I need to ban someone to celebrate racist guy. That's crazy. Honestly, if we would have a silly little person right now in the chat, you can throw a little like 1-day ban or 1-week ban. Fuck it. We're gonna get drunk with power. Blue must get some privileges in your channel, having reached 1 year in your channel. Yeah, he's just an IRL friend of mine, so you know. I trust him. I don't even know, like, I guess being a mod just kind of allows you to mute people, ban people, unmute, unban. But yeah, he's just a good friend of mine, so I bestowed some modding privileges on him. And I guess it's been a year. That's awesome. But yeah, guys, like I was saying, I'm glad you joined, Blue. We were just wrapping it up. But yeah, we talked about a bunch of stuff today. We mostly talked a bit about America's 250th birthday. We hit some Jean-Luc Melechon stuff, some French presidential election stuff, of course, some German election stuff, other political, economic news. Now we're just rounding it off. You getting ready to watch Haaland? True. Wait, who's he playing against? Was Brazil? Norway against Brazil? I think he can ban anyone after a celebration. Careful, Razor, or he's gonna ban you. Ryezer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, by the way. I just keep calling you Razor. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if that's the intention of your name, but call me Ray. Okay. I'll try to remember. Ray. Yeah, against Brazil. Vinicius versus Haaland. Interesting. I mean, let's see how far they can get. I don't know. Hey, FIFA is massaging FIFA might be massaging Portugal to get further ahead, but maybe they will let Brazil and Norway duke it out au naturel. Just kidding, by the way. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's getting late. I have to work tomorrow. I keep forgetting that it's Sunday, so I have less freedom. But yeah, we'll be back Wednesday for more news and politics. And I thought my family would be around a little bit more for like the rest of the week, like the coming week, but I think they might be around more for the week after that. So Maybe next weekend I won't be able to stream, but we'll see. For now, I'll focus on getting better, just, being here for the stream as much as I can, and then we'll see what happens with my family and other streams. Have a good rest of your night. Thanks. Oh, wait, that's another little fella. Oh shit, he's on a kangaroo. Oh, I like him. He's a silly guy. Vinicius gives me a headache after every single drama that comes out about him. Man, we need to talk more about honestly, I've been getting into more like football lore. So that's good. We can bring up some of the results and have a bit of a debrief. Have a good night. Thanks. I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram so you get notified on when we stream, when we don't stream. And yeah, it's pretty much gonna be it. If you want to watch the VOD for this broadcast, because in case you missed anything, you can go to my YouTube, and that would be like, I think it's still Control Finn, or it's like Finn VODs. You can just look up Finn VODs and pop up. So that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for your support. Like, I love seeing the names pop back up every stream. It's awesome. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Linton. Thank you, Blue. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you for another broadcast real soon. Bye.